Okay, welcome. Live again. You'll see there is now a webcam. You people can see me now as I work. Because that's what everybody tunes into. Not to see artwork. Not to see progression in the projects that I'm working on. But no, to look at my ugly mug. And so, welcome. And I'm going to keep plugging away here on my little project. I'm going to move my video around here a little bit. Try and position things in a way that is going to be a little bit better. Let's move this out of the way. There we go. And let's move this out of the way. I'll move him down here. All right. Okay. I think layout-wise, I'm happy with that. Here we are again inside of the world of my character selection little game. I ended up last night finishing off the hutch, and I've gone and placed it in the world and kind of just messed it up a little bit, played around with some of the drawers and things like that. Threw a couple of candles on this one just to kind of make it a little bit more of a showpiece. Over here, I ended up stacking a few components, just to kind of fill some space. Over here, I've thrown some drawers on top of the couch. And then over here, I have another intact hutch in a state of disarray. And so that is, I think, everything that I've done. Oh, no, there was more, the stairs. So I went and put a bunch of chunks of this thing on the stairs. And, yeah, that's going to prevent the player from going up those upstairs. I'm still going to put a door in here that's going to be a gape with a bit of lighting there. But I'm definitely getting to a point here where the clutter is starting to feel a little bit more real. So I've still got a lot of empty space here. If I go and spin around and look here. So there's still a tremendous amount of empty space here. So I want to clutter that up a little bit more. I've done a fair decent job of kind of cluttering these two aisles. And I put another one here, just kind of leaning on its side. But yeah, a fair amount of clutter here on either side of this thing. And, and I put a little bit of stuff down here too. Just kind of filling in underneath the stairs a little bit. The other thing that I did is started doing the piping, on the furnace. These are Megascan assets that I've, pulled into the project and have kind of placed around the world here. So I've got some coming out of the furnace, and you can see they kind of go up and around, and I've got them kind of going all over the place here. I've got a little bit of a valve with other ones that go up and into the ceiling. So I'm going to need to do something around where they enter the ceiling. I don't think I'm going to be happy with leaving that like that. I want to make some decals and start placing those. And I also thought it is high time that I go through and actually finish off some of the totems here as well. I've only got let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I've got 9 totems done, so there are 41 remaining that need doing. And so that is definitely on the radar, in terms of things that need doing. Let's see if I can do this here. I'm gonna try and plot there we go. What is the other thing that I want here? That's this one. Okay. And I'll move this down here. Okay, so I think I've got everything on the screen that I want on screen. At least on my screens. Doing this live streaming, it has become very apparent to me that I need another monitor. That my big grandiose monitor here is fine for working, but all of my streaming stuff occupies monitor number 2. which I usually use for work. And so that's a little bit of a hamper that I would like corrected. Okay, so where was I in terms of work? The last thing that I fooled around with was making a light bulb structure. Yo, Brandon, what's up, my friend? How you doing, brother? You've got your email, dude. I have not had time to open it as of yet. You like that, do you? It's getting long and luscious. That is a pandemic beard right there. That pee really popped. I'm gonna move my mic up. Yeah, that is a pandemic beard, if ever there was one. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna go import. I think this camera is gonna make it abundantly clear that I've got terrible posture. I'm gonna constantly be leaning in and out of my work here. What the hell am I doing? Cabin in the Woods. Now what did I call this thing? Light base. That's what I called it. So I've started work on this little guy that is going to become the the socket where the light bulbs are going to go. And I've got this much of it built. This was built out of a spline. I'll bring this down and I'll close it off. Essentially what I did was I just drew the profile with a spline and then used the lathe tool to spin it around. I think I went 24 times around. Yeah, 24. Just to try and make sure that when you see it, it still looks round. I don't want any corners or anything on this. Yeah, you got it, man. It's coming. It's coming. I'm having you on Instagram is one of the other things that I really enjoy because you remind me of me and my high school friend who comic books were our world. And so having you post comic book stuff all the time, it's hilarious. It's like a blast from the past. I haven't been part of the comic book world in a long time. Okay, so I'm going to move this up. My spline was not on the ground. This is just going to help make sure that I end up seating this properly in the world when I place it. So let's go and zero this out. And then the next thing that I want to do is build a light bulb. And so I'm just going to texture this thing kind of a white color. There should be a couple of slots in here with screws in it. But I don't think I'm going to bother with any of that. I think I'm just going to build a bulb in here. I don't think anyone's going to pay too much attention to this thing. And so I think that is going to afford me a little bit of a shortcut in modeling that I'll try and do here. So I'll make my bulb in the same way so that you can kind of see what I did here, which was just to create a spline where I did this kind of thing, and I'm just kind of drawing out the shape of the object that I'm making. So in this case, I want to kind of just create the profile of a light bulb. So this is going to go up, and it's going to end up somewhere about here. And so I'll do this. I'm going to have to put that point on the 0 axis, this one, which I was close, but not exact. And then I'm going to make this one a Bezier and use that as a means to try and shape this a little bit better. And I do want this to be quite rad. And this is going to be a Bezier corner. And I'll bring this one up like that. This one is going to be a Bezier. Come on, Bezier corner as well. And I'm going to just give this a negative curve coming in. It's not too bad. I feel like it could be a little rounder. I'll try and straighten this guy out. It's not too bad. So something like this. Now the idea, I'm going to go and affect my pivot here, and I'll turn on my snaps, and I'll snap it to there. And then all I got to do is just run a lathe on this. So if I run the lathe tool, it'll spin that object around itself like this. It's going to be inside out for now, but that's okay. And then you just pick how many segments you want all the way around. So I'm going to make this match the holder and make it 24. And what this allows me to do as well is if I go back to the line, so I can see the shape here is not quite light bulb enough for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back down to the line here, but I'm going to turn the show end results on. And that's going to allow me to edit this thing while I can see the geometry. And so turn off my snaps so that I don't manipulate that. And we're just going to move this. It's not quite doing what I wanted to. Let's actually move the point up. I think I'm going to move these 2 points down. I've got a little too much curve here, I think. And so if I can manipulate that to get at least close enough, that's going to end up being my light bulb. So we'll just convert this to an editable poly. I'm going to go to element, and we're going to flip it so that's the right way. I'm going to go to borders because there's going to be holes in this thing. Apparently just the bottom is considered a hole. No, this one is considered a hole too. So there are 24 vertices here. So I'm just going to weld them together. And that is going to be the light bulb. So these things are going to hang from the ceiling like this. And I'm going to want to put some conduit or something on here to make them have power. The other thing that I want to do is I actually want to build the innards of the light bulb. The reason for that, this thing here that I made essentially is going to be glass. So I'm going to make it its own material with transparency. And then I want to go make the little incandescent thing here, and I'm going to make that glow in the engine. Not that it's really going to matter. I mean, I could just make this a frosted bulb. I think I'm going to make it a frosted bulb. Get rid of the transparency if I can. So, UV time. And actually, I'm going to want to invert these things too. Turn on my rotation snaps and flip it 180. And same deal here. I'm going to seat this so that it's just coming off the 0. And then let's reset that. Affect the pivot points, and we'll move them both like so. All right. So I'll hit this with some UVs. This is going to be simple to unwrap. I'm not going to need any advice or help here from Maya. Doing. Doing UVs in Maya. Yep. But when it comes to an asset like this, I don't really have much need to do this in Maya. Like it's so simple in what it is that I'm going to spend more time exporting, importing, getting it out of one software and into the other than it would take me to actually unwrap it in the first place in Max. And so I'll just stay in Max and do it here. Conversely, I have some meshes that, probably just be faster to do it, the modeling inside of Maya and not ever come into Max. And so we'll see how that works. I do like Max's shortcuts for doing things like UV seams, like I can just break these things off and do it. And in Maya, I've got to go and select all the edges and then do a cut, which, works, but it's not anywhere near as fast as being able to do it this way. Okay, so I'm going to grab the bulb, and we'll move this aside. I'll move this. That's also unwrapped. I'm missing that inner. There's a row of vertices here that are not currently selected. This one. I don't want to select and grab. Okay, let's switch this, try doing it with vertices. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to split that off, grab a random edge, and break it. And this should unwrap quite cleanly. All right. Tongue dunk. So I'm contemplating what to do with this. I don't think it's going to unwrap well if I straighten it. I think I'm going to get too much distortion. So I might just see what Max's relaxing tool can do and leave it round. I'm not very good. I'm not very keen on... Whoa, brother. Flip it. I'm not very keen on leaving things just perfectly round. I normally like to put an edge on them and split them. But there are instances in which it is just beneficial to leaving things round. I'll put an edge on here. I actually don't. I keep forgetting I'm upside down, too. Is that all the way down? It's not all the way down. Okay, let's flip this thing the right way. My inverted mouse is killing me. Alright, we'll break that. Okay, so let's see what a pack looks like here. Everything's relaxed, but I'm not getting really good results in the packing. Let me kill a little bit of my padding here. So one of the reasons that I'm a little concerned about the UVs, especially with keeping things round, is that this is a really tiny asset, and it shouldn't get a very large texture. You know, it should be a very small texture. Oh, I'm gonna have to close that off too, I think. Yeah. So I think what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna cap that off. Okay, let me keep this the way it is. I'm thinking forward of my texturing. Oh, I did close it off. Lovely, lovely. Okay. Good. No. It's not closed off. That was closed off. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, and let's texture this again, or UV this again. The reason I'm interested in getting this cap on here is it's going to give me a more accurate bake in Painter. Come on. No, so the reason I want to cap it off is I'm going to make a frosted bulb out of this. And I need to make the glow emanate from the center of the bulb. And so the reason I want to cap it off is that if it's closed off and I bake it in Substance Painter, I'm going to end up with a very accurate thickness map, which I can use to create that inner core glow. I'll use that essentially as a inverted version of the... relax this thing. It'll be an inverted version of the glow map. And so that only works if it's capped off. If it's got a hole in it, if your mesh is gone, if it's non-manifold and there's an opening in the mesh, when you do your thickness, like it's going to read the thickness correctly here, but then as it gets to the tip of this thing, it's going to read it as being paper thin, and that thickness map won't bake correctly. So That's the idea. Try and give myself a little bit of a shortcut. Now, I could always, like, after I bake, I can always go and delete those polygons if I'm worried about the polygon count. But, you know, I'm only dealing with just a couple hundred polygons on this thing. Maybe 1,000. I don't even know what my polygon... Oh, 2,000. Well, look at me. We're going to fix the shit out of that. 2,000. That's mental. So I'm going to go and reduce this. That's what you get for using a spline. And so, yeah, so I was really worried about topology or polygon count. I could go and reduce that, you know, kind of after the fact and be happy with it. But I think I'll be okay. What am I at now? Is that 1,000? 15? Yeah, I can go lower. Okay, let's do this. So that's 1,200 for the bulb and the fixture. I think that'll be okay. Okay, so I'm going to export this. Wait, how big did I make it? I have no idea how big a light bulb is. I mean, in my hand, I know how large they are, but the dimensions of one, I have no idea. Yeah, nope. I have not found a fix for that. I mean, okay, so I do know what the fix is for that. And the fix is resetting your max preferences. And that actually cleans it if you delete your preference file. But that also deletes all your shortcuts and everything like that. And that's not good. Light bulb dimensions. I think these things are like 10 centimeters. That is really bright. Pardon me. Okay, they are 3.5 inches top to bottom. So I'm going to yeah, exactly. Okay, so 3 inches. I should do this. 2.54 times 3, 762. So I'm going to make a box. 762. 762. Whoa, Nelly. 762. Okay, so that's this. This is the proper size of a light bulb. So I'm going to do... I'll just float this in here. And we'll scale these guys down. Don't do that. So about there, I think. Close enough. So we'll reset the X-form on this. And now that it's the right size, let's... Yeah, good enough. Let's go and export this. Now, seeing as this is a mostly spherical or cylindrical mesh, I'm not going to bother with any kind of normal mapping. The normals are already perfect on it. I'm not going to get anything cleaner than what's there. In fact, baking a normal map will actually create artifacting. And so we don't want that. Okay. Light fixture. I'm going to bring this down to 512. Dump that. Do a bake. Lights. Use low poly as the high. And we're going to use anti-aliasing. Bum, 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 bum. Turn this up. And self-occlusion. Thickness. Crank it, and only say mesh. So this bake should take all of a minute. Okay, texturing time. So I'm going to start with the base, which I'm just going to make kind of a yellowed plastic. Let's kill the roughness a little bit. That's decent. I may want to put some... I'm going to add a fill to this. And the fill is just going to be roughness. Let's put some grunge in the rough. Not too bad. We're going to add a levels and edit the rough. Okay, that's a little bit better. Always. Let's create some dirt on top of this guy. So more blue plastic. Go into kind of a gungy, dirty color. Make it quite rough. Add a black mask. Add a generator. We'll go and throw the dirt on that. That should be okay. Again, anybody that looks at these assets, like, they're going to be pretty small when you look at them, but also the bulb is going to be glowing. And so anybody that looks at one of these things, that brightness from the bulb is actually mostly going to obscure the plastic. So that's why I'm not really concerned about it. Okay, I'm going to look at images of incandescent bulbs here. Yeah. So let's do that now. Let's go up here. So I'm going to do this in... Now, this is never going to be an off light bulb. It's only going to be ever an on light bulb. So what I'm going to do is pop back into Unreal. And since I've already spent a good chunk of time doing my lighting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and grab the color from my light, which I've already set to be, you know, kind of the value that I want the color of these lights to be. So 255, 228, 184. And that's going to give me the value that I want to put in here. So 228 is going to be full. That's pretty good there. And this is going to be 184, 0.54, somewhere in that range. Okay. Add a black mask to this. And we'll select my mesh. Okay. And again, it's going to have illumination on it, so I'm trying not to have that be an issue here. The other thing that I want to check out is what my thickness map ended up looking like. And so we're going to go and throw that on just really quick. as a color fill, just so we can see what it looks like and make sure. So it looks like the only thing that it really did, no, that's even just reflection there. Okay, let's turn the roughness on. So it looks like it didn't really do much. Looks like the bulb just went fully white. I'm going to go into a levels here. Yeah, so the only thing it's really doing is just capturing the topology. I'm getting a little bit up here, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really matter. I'm going to really push this as far as I can, and then we're going to add a filter to this. And that filter is going to be a blur. Now the problem with blurring is that it doesn't care much about UV seams, and you can see that it's going to blow out my seam here, which is unfortunate. So this might just be something I have to live without. You know what I'm going to try and do? I'm going to try and throw a gradient on here and see if that works. So I'm going to add another fill layer, which again, I'm just going to do in color. And we'll do a search inside of here. And we'll just grab a gradient, which is going to be this guy. Okay. We're going to rotate it 180. Okay. I want to use planar projection on this. And I'll drop it down so that just the bulb is being affected here. And it's this darkening up here that I want. Okay, so that's good. Let's add a black mask to this. No, not a bitmap mask, a black mask. And we're going to go and choose this. And I'm going to set this to be a multiply. And then we're going to go and tune it back a little bit. To just be like that. Just to make the bulbous area of this thing a little bit more, a little brighter. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the base color as my missive map. I don't want to actually spend any budget on another image. Okay, so that should work quite nicely. Let's go and spit these suckers out. You know what? I think my bulb's too shiny. Okay, that'll work. Okay, so we're going to go down to Cabin in the Woods, textures, make a folder here for bulbs. Select that. We're going to UE4 this, no, this, and that should work. Export. We can close, no, okay, fine, we'll export again. Lucky you, export twice. What am I doing here? Textures. Bring this over. What did did I call this thing? Bulb. It's going to be up top. Okay, so I want to rename these guys. So I've got light fixture is color. Normal. And ARM. Okay. Into Unreal. Back into my meshes, let's import the bulb. Which is called light base. Let's make sure this is combining the meshes. This guy does not need collision. Oh. The hell did I call this thing? Light base, light fixture. That's what I called it. I have duplicate meshes. One that's just the base and one that's the fixture. So we're going to go delete this one, import the correct one, which was light fixture. Again, I don't need collision, and I want to make sure it combines the bulb and the object here. I'm going to go to my textures, materials, and create a new folder. We'll import our textures. Let's generate a material from this. I think I'm going to want the mesh here while I'm doing this. Just to make sure what I'm doing is what I think I'm doing. I'm going to need to edit one of my textures to include a mask, separating the bulb from the object, from the holder. So into Photoshop, and this is going to be a real easy choice. Open. And we'll go to Projects, Cabin in the Woods, Textures, Bulbs. I'm just going to grab this guy. So since there's 0 metal on this object, we end up with a empty metallic map here, which is super easy to then just kind of go and replace that bulb shape. Now the catch is that I need to know where the bulb is. So what I'm going to do, what is this, 5? Yeah, 5. So what I'm going to do is go into Max, just like the bulb. Enter my render to texture, or my UV editor. And I'm going to go Tool, Render UVW Template. Set this to be the same size. And we're going to change the mode to be solid in white. And I don't need seams. And this will give me my mask, which I'm just going to copy to the clipboard. Go back into Photoshop and paste. And voila, one mask. So we'll spit that back out. Okay, so in my light fixture, we're going to re-import this. And then grab it in the normal and pull them in. Before I do that, let's also turn the sRGB off. Make sure this is linear color. Okay, so ambient occlusion and roughness. I don't care about the metallic value. Normal. I have a funny feeling my normal map's just blue. It is, so I don't need that. So I'm going to make my own normal. Like so. Not that that really matters. And then we're going to take the blue and we're going to multiply it by this color. Let's take a preview of that. Ooh. So what you're seeing here is a UV seam. And that UV seam is because of the way I did the mask. So what I'm going to do, and this is because what Max spit out actually just was the UVs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two meshes. I'll say select, modify, expand, and we'll do an expansion of 4 pixels. And I'll fill that with white. And I'll just resave this image. And here, I'll show you this real time. And I'll just re-import this, and you should see that line go away. MIP mapping for the win. Okay, so that's what that's going to look like. I'm then going to multiply it by a scalar parameter called brightness that'll default to be a value of 1. Let me turn this off. That'll make the bulb glow. So we'll close this. This should be all I need. So I'm going to make an instance of this. And let's go grab the mesh again. So the next thing I have to do, let's put the instance on the mesh. Let's make sure that's just the grid. Good. Okay. Okay, so far so good. Now the other thing that I need to do is I need to make a... I need this mesh to not cast shadows. I need to break the mesh apart. So I hit combine when I imported it. It's not actually what I want to do. I actually want it separate. I don't need to re-export it. I just need to re-import it. And I've got something in mind here when I do this. I'm going to try something. I hope this works. So we're going to grab our light fixture, and I'm just going to turn off combine meshes and import. This is going to bring in the bulb separate from the holder. And the reason for that is I want to make sure that that one. I don't want this mesh to cast shadows because that's going to break everything. And so if I can have it avoid have this mesh avoid casting shadows, I can actually put my light bulb, the actual physical light from Unreal, right inside this mesh, which should work really, really nice. And so that's definitely what I want to do. I just want to make sure that I'm setting the right setting here. And I could have sworn there was a setting in here for shadowing. Okay, we'll have to figure that out. Let me save this and go into this guy. mi_bulb. I didn't spell bulb rightly. I spelled bulb bubble. Again, it's my fingers moving faster than my brain. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a blueprint out of this thing. So if you just right-click on an asset and you go to Asset Actions, you can create a blueprint using this. Same thing as creating the blueprint a moment ago, just using right-click. So I'm just going to put this in this folder. I'm going to give it a name as BP underscore lights and say OK. And that should appear over here. Okay, so there it is, BP. Why don't I see you? Oh, there it is down there. That's odd. Shouldn't be down there. Anyway, we'll take our two meshes. Actually, one of them is already in there. Just this one. And I'll bring this in here. And the idea here is to kind of reconstruct this object again. So that's not right. That's right. And what I want to do is I want to make my lighting kind of all-encompassing. And so the idea is to take the point lights that are in my world, these ones. So here's point light number 6. And I'm going to go and use its properties here in a light bulb that I'm going to add into this. So we'll just pull this out, and I can see the two properties here side by side. So I'm going to add a component and take a point light like so, and we're going to move that point light down until it's in the middle of the bulb. And you can see why I'm not overly concerned about the texturing on that plate. So we're going to have to change this to lumens. And the lumens I'm doing here are 450. My light color, again, pop this open, was 255, 228, 184. 4. So I'll give it the same color that's in the background. The attenuation radius, I'm leaving at 1,000. Source radius 2.5. Now actually this one, I don't care if it's the same as what's in the world. What I want to do here, it was just trying to get that little yellow circle, and the sphere that's here rather. That actually looks incredibly correct for what I was trying to do. And then the soften the source radius. 5. And I think that's everything I need here. Let me compile this. And the idea now is to actually put these in the world instead of the lights. So I put the blueprint here and not the light bulb. And I'm going to take this thing, rotate it 90 degrees, and push it up against the wall. Try and get this as accurately positioned here as I can. About there. And it looks like the brightness on the bulb itself can actually go up. It actually looks like a little dark spot in there. So textures and materials, bulb. Nope, apparently not. Light fixture. The instance. And I just keep bringing this up until that bulb disappears in the glow. Okay, that's one. I'll go do all of them here. Now, that one I have on a support beam, and I don't actually have a beam over here. So I'm going to make myself one. Actually, I may as well take the blueprint along for the ride. What are you doing? Oh, it's the bulb that's doing this. Okay, screw you. I don't need the bulb then. Because the bulb is sideways, the local is breaking. So I know that this doesn't make a lot of sense that there's one here. But this is where I want the light bulb to go. So delete that light bulb. Back into our meshes. And pull the light bulb blueprint back in. I should check and see what height I used on this thing. Let's do 225. And I'll do the same thing with this one. And again, just make sure it's right in there. Okay. This guy can go. I'm going to put this one up here. See if I can't get an angle on this. There we go. Okay. That's 1, 2, 3. Another one here. Let's put this at 225. And again, just make sure it's against the wood. Like so. Got one here. Okay, pretty pleased with that one. Okay, that should be all of my bulbs replaced with actual physical bulbs. I'm going to do another light bake. We'll see how these do. I'm going to go back into Max and delete these guys. And import. Oh, I can't import it yet. Grab it first. So I had a mishap yesterday with this guy. Here. I accidentally saved over this FBX file, which is unfortunate. Where the hell was this? Asset actions. There. Can I do it here? There we go. Export. Kevin in the Woods. This was wash basin. So I was doing 2 meshes at once yesterday, and it ended up resulting in a mishap where I saved the wrong mesh over the wrong FBX, overwriting my poor wash basin. And so, wash basin. We'll just export it out of the engine. This is one of the reasons why I like using proxies for everything and getting stuff in early, because it makes my life a lot simpler. So that was the collision volume. And then here's my mesh. And you're not going to work. You never fucking work. So I need to quantify this because the engine decided where the triangles were going to go, and that happens to not coincide with where I want the triangles to go. And so my whole mesh is broken, and so I'll have to go and do some correcting here. This isn't too major, just a pain in the ass. Against my own advice. But you never realized. Okay, here. And here, done. And these two are done. Okay, that's clean. Clean. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in here. So this quadrify mesh, what this does is it looks for the shortest edges and removes them, which is not always the edges I want removed. It would be nice if the algorithm actually just paid attention to the flow of the polygons, and knowing where I've put things would help it tremendously. Doesn't seem to be the case. Okay, and the legs were messed up. Looks like all of them got the middle area broken. So I'm going to do this a little faster by just bridging. Stupid software. Actually, it's my own fault. Overwriting my own mesh. It serves me right. Serves me right. I have to go back and do this whole bloody damn thing again. So 'tis the weekend. Friday. That seems to have very little meaning anymore. It used to be all exciting, right? That it was the weekend. You didn't have to go to work. Only now, you don't have to go to work. Screwy world that we find ourselves living in these days. Just absolutely messed up. You gotta laugh. You gotta laugh, or it'll be too sad. Okay, that's good. There's still a couple of wonky ones in here. I can hear the pulsing of dance music coming from the room next door. I've got a noise suppressor on my microphone so that you don't hear my music, which is playing. But I can hear my wife's music over my own. And I can see my mic is still 0 out. So there should be no music. In fact, I live streamed all of yesterday, last evening, with my music playing. And I did not get flagged for copyright. And so I have finally found a way of being able to have my tunes on and not get impacted. I find it so slow modeling and working without music. It's almost like I move slower. Or maybe I move faster with the music. I don't know which is actually true, but I know that I don't like the silence when I'm working. I need to have something going. You know, I'll go through Netflix and have some documentaries on, or I'll put my music on. When I work a lot of consecutive days, the music can get a little repetitive in that it's the same tunes I listen to over and over and over again. and so it can get a little repetitive. So in a week where I've got a lot of work to do, I'll put some documentary or something on to kind of pass the time. Okay, that's good. That's good. What the hell, man? I hate when this happens. I've had this happen before too, where I had to clean up a mesh like this, where I brought something into Maya that had endguns on it, and the endguns got fixed in Maya, resulting in a triangulated mesh, which was fucking garbage. And so I had to go and then clean it all up again when I brought it into Max. That needs fixing too, here and here. Okay, let's see what I got. Yeah, that didn't do anything that I wanted it to. In case you were interested, Black Sabbath is what I'm currently listening to. Oh, you cut off there. See, why would you put an edge there? It's stupid. No, not undo. Connect. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba. Now in world. Oh, I thought I was done here. I'm scared to go look at the faucet. Ba bum. Bum 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 ba da dum bow. The downside of my listening to music is that you get to listen to me sing. Bum bum bum. Okay, I'm gonna try killing the light on the webcam. I feel like I'm blinded. The webcam I got a Razer webcam. It's got a ring of LEDs around it, which is just meant to light the your subject matter a little bit for streaming purposes. I guess people really want to see what you look like. But it blinds me. I'm very photosensitive, as any of you who are former students of mine can attest. I'm the first teacher to turn off all the lights in the classroom, because I hate the brightness. I get migraines in the bright light. I'm gonna kill it, which is why my studio is in darkness. I prefer it that way. It's more comforting for me to live in the dark. I know I'm a troglodyte. I get it. But it's more soothing and I don't get headaches. It's either that or I stream with sunglasses on. Okay. Ah, son of a bitch. Every time I turn the thing around, I find another... Serves me right for overwriting my own goddamn mesh. Okay. What happened here? The quadrangulate doesn't work really nice with any chamfered edges. When it ends up with these rounded areas, it gets really confused. That's where I find most of the errors. Eleanor Rigby, where a wedding has been. Who was it for? Yeah, that's good enough. It did quadrangulate the top of this thing, but I'm not gonna worry about that. Yeah, I was gonna symmetry the handle over, but there's not a lot here. There's not a lot here that needs cleaning, so I can just grit through it. What would you care? Where do they all come from? You guys are all awfully quiet. I think streaming for the last few weeks, the way that I have, has altered the way that I work when I'm alone now. And then I'm always trying to be on when I'm streaming, right? I'm always trying to interact with you guys, always trying to talk to you guys, have something to say, whether it be explaining what it is that I'm doing or answering questions, excuse me, or anything of that nature. And I find now when I'm not streaming, I've caught myself a couple of times explaining what it is that I'm doing, only to then kind of like look around the room and realize there's nobody here. It's just me. Like, who the hell was I explaining that to? Making me lose my mind. I've also got my webcam on monitor too, which means I'm not always looking at you people. I have to switch over to look at you. And that is something I think is going to take a little getting used to as well. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Send the week accomplish. He knew he had a choice. He always stumbled easily with the sound of every voice. A pocket full of excess. He take and take and take. Left him with his trigger pointed, staring at his shakes. And it goes on. It goes on. Lulz? See, what you don't know, Ian, is I've got software here that turns your webcam on too. So I can see you. I gotta have this set up. This is a requirement for the schools for the fall. I got a back scratcher. They want me on screen when I'm teaching, and so I have no choice but to do this. And face it, you like looking at me. They traveled down below. Wait, what? I thought you were blonder than I remember. Don't tell Dana that people can remotely turn on her camera. Always slashing with his hands, and it goes on. It goes on. Okay. Let's see if I miss any triangles. Selection, fewer than 4. Ian, I don't know if when you tuned in, but I made a colossal mistake that is costing me dearly. I overwrote an FBX of mine with another FBX of mine. I exported a mesh that I was working on over a different mesh, causing me to lose the asset that I had already modeled. And luckily, I had brought the unfinished version into Unreal, and that saved me having to remodel it. But exporting it from Unreal, it triangulated everything, and so I'm now spending my life untriangulating. At least I did that. No, there's no coming back. The weaklings never practice what they preach. What's going on down here? Ah, son of a... Okay, I'm going to say that serves me right, too. Mm-hmm. You try to catch up with the world. But they're so far out of reach. I know, it's stupid. And both Max and Maya have a quadrangulate, whatever they call them. And neither of them is good enough to actually go through and do it the right way. Okay, where else are holes? Okay. How did I delete? I don't know how I deleted those. Ian, we should have a conversation on the weekend, my friend. And I would very much like to talk to you about something not stream worthy. Bum 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 ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. Okay, that's fine. Why am I getting random holes everywhere? She's a roller, yeah. Sometimes it's just easier to remodel than it is to clean up. These things are bothering me. There's weirdness under them. Yeah, see, what the hell is that? Why would you do that? Saturday evening-ish. By call, you mean we'll just hop online. Bum 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 bum. My. Bum bum. Okay. Survey says open holes. We've got 48, 36, 24, 12. Done. Yeah. Call. color, baby. Wow. Okay, turn to poly. Convert to edible poly. Poly groups. Let's change this to 35. Wrong direction. 55. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. Good-y frickin' enough. I'm just gonna detach all this stuff. Faucet. Cap locks are on. Fun! Underscore. I might as well underscore level it. What happened? Oh, this too. White geometry. Stupid! Tired of being what you want me to be. Hot. Tap. Low. But under the pressure. Cold tap. Low. Every step that I take is another mistake. Faucet base. Become so tired. And then this is just wash basin. Underscore low. I have not unwrapped this. Holding so tightly, afraid to lose control. Right in front of you. I can feel you there. I've become so numb. Tired of being what you want me to be. Okay, edge time. That one, and for surezies, that one. My wife is, she's currently live, not live streaming, live watching with her sisters. They all had plans to go see Hamilton, the musical, in the summer. And with all that's happened, that's obviously not happening. And so it went to Disney Plus today. And so I know one of the sisters got Disney Plus specifically for Hamilton. And my wife, we already had Disney. We had it for The Mandalorian. And so yeah, they're kind of watching it in unison together remotely, with one sister living in Toronto and one sister living in Ottawa, and my wife in Orangeville. They're kind of doing this remote viewing thing. And so there was a very much a I don't care what you do, but the TV is mine tonight. No, don't do that. With a thought of suicide, they might remember him then. Until the phone. Ooh. We are. Ian, what are your thoughts on the next gen consoles and what's going down? I'm curious. I know personally I don't feel any compulsion to buy. I'm tired of all the lies, don't nobody know why. It's a blind leading the blind. Is there anything pushing you towards any one console, any one way or the other? Bow. 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 We are. Okay, let's see how clean my geo is here. Is there any non-manifold? Great success. No non-manifold. I obviously didn't get enough splits in my UVs, which is gonna that's fun. Okay, let's just pack them as is. You know what? I don't even see that happening in a few years. Like they would need a hell of a killer app to draw me in right now. I just don't see it. I don't see the why. You know, like I'm really happy with my PS4. It does everything I want. I've really stopped caring about being part of the conversation when it comes to the games, especially with students, because most of my students are all just Nintendolts. And, you know, so what are you guys playing? Fucking Animal Crossing. It's not a real game. And so even just to be part of the conversation, I find that the people with whom I'm having those conversations, they're not really playing PlayStation anymore either. And so I don't know. I know when I usually have those conversations with you, what are you playing lately? It's not often that there's new stuff. Yeah, exactly. And I'm really quite content. I'm really quite content with Stadia. I've bought one game on Stadia, And I have plans to buy another one. Actually, my wife gave me a gift card, a Google gift card, meant to be spent on Stadia. And I like haven't had the time to play a game. I mean, I've had the time. I just haven't had the. I'd rather be putting the time into something else. And so, will I do that in the right spot? We'll find out. I want to play Doom Eternal. That's definitely on my list. I really enjoyed the 2016 one. I do too. Like, which is funny, man, because that was such a major part of my life that I find if I sit down and play a game, I'm like, oh man, think of how much more I could have gotten done if instead of sitting here at the PlayStation or whatnot, you know, I'd sat on my computer. I think though the working from home is helping with that because it's allowing me to feel more productive than I typically am. And I think that's a good thing. Oh, that's ugly. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Split those. Where's the other one? To be abused. I don't play games on Steam. My Steam library is minuscule. I mean, I've got a killer machine that can play games, right? I just built a brand new computer. But the chair that I sit at for work is not the chair that I want to sit in to relax. I have such a hard time with that disconnect that if I'm sitting here and I'm gaming, it feels like I'm working. And I think that amplifies that guilt of like I should be working. In fact, not only should I be working, I'm sitting at the place where I should work. And I'm playing a game instead. In fact, I'm on the machine that I should be using to be doing the work. And I'm not. And so, even though my computer is a much better place to play games than is my PlayStation, what with a video card that is capable of ray tracing and all that goodness, and can't do it, man. I think I'm going to split that. In the world we live. Mm-hmm. The thing that I'm really liking about Stadia is just their free games. I think I've got 18, 19 games on Stadia right now. And I like that because I don't typically sit down to game anymore. I'm liking that Stadia allows me to play wherever. And I know I'm in the minority of people that like Stadia. But I like that if I'm lying in bed, I can pull up my phone and play a game. That if I set up my computer, it's the same game. And if I sit down on the TV, it's the same game. You know, it's the same game save, the same progress, the same characters. I really like that. And I have been doing that a lot with my PlayStation as well, to be fair. The PlayStation has the remote play that I'm using. And that does essentially the same thing. It allows me to, well, it allows me to play my PlayStation from anywhere. And that's really good too, but I just got to a point where I didn't have any PlayStation games to play anymore. I got whatever the Star Wars one was. Dark Souls Wars, Star Wars. That one. And couldn't get into it. Played a couple of the mission things, and it just didn't feel Star Warsy to me. That's not where you're supposed to go. I need a hero. Wow. What have I done here? I put it at the back corner. I suppose that's alright. Let's split this. No, just grab the whole thing and do here. See how that unwraps. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Oh man, bully out. Stay with aim and shout. My daughter called me old today. She did it inadvertently, but she called me old. We were talking about their geckos. So they had fish and geckos. The fish have all long since died. The geckos are still alive, and the kids were asking, like, how long are we going to have these geckos? Like, is that something we're going to have forever? And I said, well, they're going to live like 15, 20 years. And so, like, you go to college, you're packing your gecko and bringing it with you. And so, yeah, it was kind of a funny thing. And I said, long after I'm in the grave, you're going to have that gecko, and you're still going to be taking care of that stupid gecko. Just kind of making a joke. And my daughter said something to the fact of like, well, of course you're going to be dead long before the gecko, Daddy. I was like, oh, ow. Cut me deep, kid. Until it sleeps. Boom, boom. Yeah. Yeah, kids are fucking a riot. They're fun. You should have some. No longer when you hurt anyone. I haven't seen Braybrook today. Actually, I haven't seen Braybrook since yesterday when he said he was going on a bike ride and he never came back. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Actually, Reese was here yesterday. But that was the first time I'd seen him in like 2 weeks. And so I don't know what happened there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's 6. God damn it. There. Okay, chamfer. Unsmooth. Until it sleeps. Till it sleeps. Ain't none of that go the way that it was meant to go. All my smooth reaps always getting mucked up. Yeah, that's what I assume. Well, that's not what I assumed. I assumed with Reese, he tuned in once, didn't see Mask, and he was like, I'm out. I'm out. Forget you. Because actually, I don't think he had seen, because he was asking about the project I was working on. And I don't think he'd seen anything that I'd done in this yet. Now and then I think of when we were together. Happy you could die. I told myself that you were right for me. I felt so lonely in your company. Oh, son of a... Yeah, that's stupid. Okay. Like resignation to the end, always the end. While you said that we would still be friends, that it was over. I don't think I can sing well enough that YouTube will know what I'm singing. It feels so rough. Mm-hmm. That I used to know. And that I used to know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now and then. Boom, 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 boom. Mm-hmm. 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 Now you're just somebody that I used to know. I used to know. That I used to know. I used to know. That I used to know. I used to know. That I used to know. I hate when this happens. I've got a miss. One edge is not numbered the same as the others. And so doing a slide only puts some of them in the right place. Let's do 90. Remove this one. Pinch them. Put them up even higher. 245. 45. 2. Okay. How did that hold up? There we go. Quite good, actually. Quite good indeed. Speak the words I want to hear to make my feelings run. Export selected. But it's open if you're true. This is going to be OBJ. Wash basin. Hi. Come lay beside me under wicked star, dark of night. But there's no sun shining through. I didn't want to rewrite that. No, damn it, no. See, that's what I did last time. Turn to stone. Could I open it for you? Wash basin's gonna get 2K. Just overkill for this. It's gonna be in the dark anyway. Ba-do-da-do-do. Lay beside me. This won't hurt, I swear. She loves me still. But she'll be there when I'm gone. I wish Substance Painter had the ability to save preferences so that when you, like I always use the same settings when I bake, and I would find it very useful if every time I bake those settings were already there. It would be super helpful if it could do that for me. And I'm the one who waits for you, or are you unforgiven too? Whoa, that's ugly. What the hell happened there? Something went horribly wrong with my UVs on this. Not in Maya. Oh yeah, I did a shit job of doing that. Beside me, tell me what I've done. Nor is close, so are your lies. Let's do this and this. Now I see it. Okay. Let's see if anything else turned out ugly while I'm at it. I think it's the only stuff that bothers me. I mean, I've got rounding from low to high, but that doesn't bother me too much. One who waits for you. Oh. Sickened pages turn to stone. Oh, you unforgiven. And I bury it in you. Never free, never me. Alright, let's do this again. Project configuration. And let's go pull in the wash basin, which should clean that stuff up a little bit. And then the bake should clean up the rest. So we'll see what happens here. Looks like no, I'm not going to get it any cleaner in the bake. Ian, I got a question for you. I have an asset type thing that I need to make, and I'm not really sure how to go about doing it. Abandoned basement. So when searching the interwebs for abandoned basements, sure, yeah, do that. See if I can't find this picture full size. So whenever I look for this stuff, I find a lot of the same type of things. You know, there was obviously a drop floor or a drop ceiling here, and that drop ceiling has dropped, and there's chunks of it everywhere, which I really, really like. But I don't have a drop ceiling in my basement, so this isn't going to actually make sense. But it's this stuff here that is just kind of, fabric? I don't know really what this is. Like, this looks like it might be insulation, but it's just kind of like droopy brown. And I see that in a lot of these things, wherever the ceiling has come undone. You just get like hanging stuff. And I really like the look of the hanging stuff. I'm just not sure. Let's see this one. There's just whatever that is hanging down. But a lot of them have that type of, just like there was something there that is no longer there, that just hangs down. Even here. It's like paint or something come off one of these beams that's just hanging. That's a game, I think. No, that's a photo? See here too. There's just hanging stuff. I don't know what kind of stuff that is. Just insulation off the pipes, maybe? Here too. This is all flaking paint coming undone, but like look back here. Like that stuff, that's That's awesome, that stuff. I don't want that. I want that. See all this stuff back here? I don't know what it is. It's just like, it's hanging. Hanging things. Ian might be gone. That's all flaked off paint. That's awesome. And paint really doesn't hold up. Same old story. So, okay, let's get this thing put together. So there's going to be there's only going to be 2 materials on this thing, and they're going to be dirty as all hell. The first is going to be chrome, which is going to live on obviously the faucet and the taps. And so we'll go and add that. So color, gray, metallic, not bad. Let's add a fill. Fill's just going to be in the rough. Let's add a generator to the fill, not a fill. The generator is just going to be in the rough. Let's add the drip. Dripping rust. Oh, that's going to look good everywhere on that, but I'm really just concerned about this. Not metallic, just that. I'm the enemy. Live into your knees. We're going to add levels on top of this. Damn it, that's color. Add levels. Let's try that again. Okay, I'm going to put some fine rust on top of that. Black mask. Generator. And let's increase that. Increase the intensity. Well, I could hear better. Okay. Pleased with that. That. Yeah, I think Ian's definitely gone. I'm just sitting here talking to myself now. There are 4 of you here. I don't know who you guys are. Sufficiently yellowed. Let's tweak the roughness. We'll try and get this to look like brand new plastic to begin with. Hi, Brittany. Okay, I want to put some scum. Wretched hive of scum and villainy on this thing. No. Yeah, I like that one. And we'll add a levels to it. Let's soften it a little bit. Okay. So that's going to look good like that. Let's go and put some gross in here. So I'll do another search here. Old wash basin. Let's go see what we're trying to achieve. It's pretty fucking gross. Okay, that's what I'm going to look at. That is some decent reference right there. It's really fucking gross. Okay, so let's add some guns to this. Somewhere in that range. Okay, I'm digging that. Then I want to put a bunch of what looks like water, hard water stains. This is going to be a practically white. Give it some roughness. And add a black mask. Let's go look at my smart masks here. This might work nice. No, sir, it does not. Is further from the truth and in front of thee again. Not again. Yeah, I think it's the mask. It's not working. Well, that's a little better. Here you are, back where it began. Toe to toe I stand in front of you again. Okay, so that's not bad. I think I'm going to add some drips on this thing. Is there anything other than the dripping rust? Water drips. And rust drips. So I'm going to try the water drips. I just want to add something a little bit more to this. Let's go back into materials here. Let's add a black mask to this. Okay, I think that's going to work. I don't actually want it blue. The idea was to try and get a little bit of shine to bleed through. What did you miss? You missed me having a conversation with you, not realizing you had left. In fact, the reason Brittany said hi is I was starting to feel all alone. Everybody had gone. Everybody was gone. I actually had no idea what happened. Oh, something's going on here. Where are you coming from? You're in the dirt, right? Yeah, you're in the dirt. And the dirt, dripping rust. And this is not going to give me... How's Jen doing? I don't think I've seen her since you bought your house. Kicked at the windshield, water fading in. Push just a little too late. What you need is this what you wanted me to be. Yikes. Is she still working at Sunnybrook? Like from when we were in high school? That's crazy. Like the same job since you and I were in high school. That's crazy. Because we're old now. We're a long way from high school, my friend. It's all right. You can never stand to save me. Oh. Push just a little too late. That's cool. Good for her. I should really change my preferences so this isn't a thing I have to do every time. A good life is what I need. It's a little of the good life. I'm so glad I took the time to text her that basin. Stupid mood lighting. Hi, Christian. So yeah, I was talking about this a little bit earlier, Christian. the schools, because we're going to be teaching remotely in the fall. The schools are making it a requirement that we have our faces visible to the students as part of a trying to connect with them a little bit more, I guess. And so, yes, so I bought me a webcam. I've been trying to buy this webcam for quite some time, and it's been mostly sold out everywhere. I haven't been able to actually find it. And yeah, they sell it directly on the page. It's a Razer webcam, and they directly on their website. And so it shipped from China and got here in a really, really short amount of time, which was pretty cool. Okay. That's better. At least you can see that there's a sink there. I think I might, I think I'm going to put one of the totems in the sink. And so maybe I won't. Let's delete this guy. Let's take this guy and make a copy over here. That is me. Something like that. At least you can see that it's there. Maybe I'll put a couple on the floor too. Now been here to me, it's sad, overwhelmed. It's a little better. I've made the lighting so dark that I feel like I'm just going to have candles near all my assets so you can see them. I've got a washer and dryer to build. That has to go in there. I've got a fridge to build that I wanted to put over here somewhere. I think I'm going to build some more totems and ensure that they work. There's two things I need to do with the totems. I need to build them. What's going on here? There. I need to build the totems, but I also need to like double check my spelling on everything. Because I've been finding in almost every totem I've made, I've found spelling mistakes. And so that is something I'm going to have to correct. And it's definitely starting to definitely starting to have the feeling that I wanted. Okay. Next, let's make some totems. Let's go in here and delete this. Delete all of it. Let's just reset this. Right, totems. So let's go back to Unreal. Let's save while we're here. And let's do some totems. Okay, Ancient One. I don't remember what any of my totems were. I think what I need is to open my document. Totems. This one. No, not that one. This one. Okay. Here's all my totems. Bouquet of flowers for the bride. Oh, I didn't want to do that one. And the bride is actually alphabetically. She's down here. Okay. Well, let's try and take the. I want the bridge. Let's see what kind of flowers there are in Mega Scans that maybe I can cobble together. Something. Update, update, update. Ooh, they've got new floors. That's lovely. I have not done the creature from the Black Lagoon token. I don't even remember what the creature from the Black Lagoon's token was. Creature from the back... A fishbowl. Yep, I'm just making a dirty old fishbowl. Okay, I can do that one. Give me a little boost of confidence here before I make the before I make the one I don't want to make. Okay, let's see what I can do here. So this is going to be a collection of cylinders that need to marry one another. So I'm going to do something like that. Let's go and see how big this is. The radius is 29. Let's bring that down to 25. That makes it half a meter across. That's too big. Okay, I'm going to do that. Get rid of that. I'm going to make this 32 segments. Why were you interested in the creature from the Black Lagoon, Ian? This should be 10. And it's 20. 20. What gives? Oh no, the radius is 20. This is 20. Duh. Math for the win. Okay, I'm going to make a copy of this thing at 90 degrees. And in the top view, let's take this one. And we're going to mirror it. Like that. Okay, and then the radius of this one. Wow, I almost did that perfect. I missed by 0.05. That's good. And Arthur Adams... What? Huh? I like the movie. And Arthur Adams did a comic adaptation. Oh, really? The radii of this should be 10. I can't stand when I'm around. I can't stand to be around. Okay. Where's my height? 13. This should be rotated this way. Be seated at the ground. There we go. Bum ba da da dum bum bum. And let's bring the height up where the nozzle's going to be. So the goal here, making the foot of the fishbowl and the opening the mouth of the fishbowl. And I would like it if my edges lined up perfectly, which I'm pretty close right there. I think I could probably get away with welding that and not having an issue. This guy, however, is going to need more edges. And so we're going to try and just line these up as close as we can. Like so. The Thing from the movie The Thing. In a way, I do. The Thing is under the category of the Blob. Somewhere in here I have Blob. Somewhere in here. There he is, Blob. And so, yeah, I mean, you could call the Thing from The Thing the Blob. You could also call it the Alien. Depends on your interpretation. Licking your silver spoon, I'll be thinking of you. Okay, let's make sure this is reset here. Copy this. I do have a mummy. No, cancel. That's gonna go here. Paste. Yeah, I do have the mummy. The totem for the mummy is a roll of toilet paper. And I think it was my son that came up with that idea. And as soon as he said it, I kind of fell in love with it. Ba-da-dum, bum, bum, bum. Mm-hmm. Okay, next, I put a loop around this guy. Do-do-do-do. It's brilliant, though, is it not? A roll of toilet paper for the mummy? In fact, I ran with his idea of, I was going to do an Ankh. I was going to do like an old Egyptian amulet. Attack the block. No, I don't think I have. It doesn't sound familiar. Do. Do. Mm-hmm. You know what? I think I'm going to do this a better way. And that better way is to say fuck you to Autodesk and pop over into... Are you talking about the original Thing, Christian? Because I know they did a remake not all that long ago. To 17? That should be all right. Yes, I'll be thinking of you. Okay. When in doubt, fuck it, go into ZBrush. No, Kurt Russell's in the original one. He's young in the original one, but yeah, no, he's in the original. Right on my face. It hasn't stopped raining for days. My world is a flood. Okay, I like this. The only thing I want to do is blow out the center here. I'll do that. Invert it. Move. Scale out. turn this off. When I'm falling, I'm weak and I'm dying. Need you to hold me. I think this one. In the ocean, losing control. Dark sky all around. I think that's gonna work. I'm weak and I'm dying. I need you to hold me. Okay, let's try. Turn the resolution up on this in Dynamesh. Oh, look at you, ugly bastard. I think I can work with that. There were so many really cool things that they did with that. Lift me over. It's not going to do what I want. Okay, let's see what I can do. I need my stylus. Lift me up. And I'm dying. Need you to hold me. So it's imperative I don't get any of this warping in there. But the idea is to just give this a light smooth. Bow. Christian, have you ever seen an American Werewolf in London? I think London was the first one. That's another one with great VFX. I've been by the ones that get me off. Z-Remesh. Let's bring this down to 2 and see what we get. Thought I lost. It's a chalk outline. If you use Z-Modeler, close convex hole, it makes it straight. I'm not quite sure what you mean by straight. That's not bad. Body used to lay. Yeah, that did a pretty good job, actually. It's a little higher poly than I'd want it to be, but I'm going to get rid of some of them. Okay. I think I can clean this up in max enough. So let me go Z-Bag to max. And Use max to get this thing to the scale I want it to be. Oh, yeah, yeah. To merge them together, like doing a Boolean. Yeah, you don't really need them. Once you do the Z remesh, like it's perfectly straight. And so, and get rid of this one. I did the merge that I wanted it to do quite nicely. And now all I got to do is just kind of clean up the topology. So it got a little wonky here in some of these warbles that happened. And so what I'm going to do, let's convert this into editable poly, affect pivot, and just make sure it's centered to the mesh. And I'm first going to reset my X form. And first we'll mirror it this way. With her fleet fun up and higher now. Yeah, it's weird that those didn't go straight across. But I think I can fix that. So it's just this warble here that I want to get rid of. It would be nice if they were to remain linear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Z position. We'll grab that edge. Go to vertices. And we'll remove the stuff I don't want. We'll turn on the edge constraints. And we'll paste that Z in. And line these up in Z. And that's beautiful. And I'll do the same thing here. Actually, I don't even think I need to do that. I think that might be overkill. Let's go. I'm going to make the actual foot for the bottom, and I got to make it hollow. So the hollow is really easy to do. I'm just going to hollow out the top. That's going to be the mouth of the bowl. And then at the base here, I need to make a, just make it flatter. And so this is pretty easy to do too. I'm just going to grab everything from this edge down. It's a beautiful day. People on the streets when the sun comes down. No, sir. Not with that. Let's just line that up. Z. And there. Now it's going to flat base. And now that it has a flat base, I actually don't need anything inside here. In fact, it's a beautiful day. It's just a beautiful day. Okay, that's better. Da-da-da-da-da. I think I could have cleaned up that warble a little faster by actually just mirroring this thing in Z. Like so. And then getting rid of my center lines, which are not actually needed. And now I've got a mouth at the bottom, which I'll just line up in Z. Like so. Bring this down. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. Pull this down. And we'll go in. So that'll be the foot. So it's nice and steady on there. And then we'll make the entrance here. Actually, let's just shell this thing. One fishbowl. Like I'm gonna just add a little bit of round to that. Bum ba da dum boom boom. Okay, let me read the description of my fishbowl again. This was a creature from the lagoon. Giant algae. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure I didn't have to model anything inside this thing. Reset this. Stand it up on the base. Okay. One fishbowl. So the nice thing about gray boxing everything, about getting the systems to work before you're actually needing to use them, is that I actually have all the FBXs already for my totems, even though the totems aren't built yet. And all it means is that I just, when it comes time to building them, so if I go into FBX here, and then inside of the totem mesh, it means all my totems are here. And so I just have to overwrite these files and then re-import into the engine. Everything works. So creature from the lagoon is this. Fishbowl. Oh, you know what? I gotta make some modeling changes to this. This didn't occur to me when I was in Max. But the bowl shouldn't actually be hollow where the foot is. I actually want to go straight across. This is what kills me. Let's turn the grid off here. What's going to be the easiest way to do this? Rotating an inner I'm going to do this in Max because it'll be easier to rotate an inner copy of this here. Now that I was just in now that I was just in Maya, my brain doesn't know what it's doing anymore. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to take this. Nope. There. Effect pivot center. Yeah, it's not quite there. Okay. Excuse me. So I'm going to bring this up here. presumably to the center of my rotation point here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift and rotate this 90 degrees. Like so. Because that's going to give me the interior I need. And now I just need to delete the stuff I don't need. Let's do front again. So I can delete until... should be safe enough here. It's this guy I'm interested in. Way too fast. Sit here locked inside your... There you are. Delete that. Delete the outer shell. Way too fast. Okay. Polygon mode. So that's that row. So this row is unneeded. Okay, and same thing with this side. That's that row. So this row is unneeded. Boom, boo, doo, doo. You can't stomach what you're gonna see. There we go. Convert to editable poly, and I can remove these two. So have you guys seen, there's actually a show from my youth. Ian, you'll be interested in this. A show from my youth is back. And I'm actually quite excited about that. There's a show that was on that I guarantee you everyone my age watched this thing, you know, probably near religiously. And it's back, which is really awesome. And I watched an episode and a half today while waiting for my family to come back for dinner. They were out at a friend who is out of town. Let them use her pool. The show in question is Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah, exactly. Look at Ian. Ian's on the ball. Yeah, Unsolved Mysteries is back, it was crazy. It was awesome to watch that show again. Cause the killers, they got their friends. I don't think this is the way I should be doing this. Let me undo. Let me delete this. Pretty sure I should just be able to bridge across here. Let's grab this. Do it again. Okay, so I'm going to bridge across here. And I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 cuts. Actually, this needs to be 15. There. Oh yeah, like doing new comics of them? SWAT cats. Ian Brandon here. He's one of my former students. He works at a comic book store. I follow him on Instagram, and he's always posting comic booky stuff. Reminds me of my youth. That's cool. I like when stuff comes back like that. The funny thing is like most of what was really cool about the 80s, most of these franchises, um, they were all just fodder to sell toys. Which, I mean, it's not like that's gone away. Um, but there was such a big motive behind making sure that they succeeded. I had to move mine out of the studio. I'm tearing down the closet in here, and so my my comic boxes are now in the middle of the living room, and and the family's not happy. The kids are building forts out of my comic boxes. Come on, I dare you. But yeah, I'm all digital too. I haven't bought a paper comic book in a long time. I think the last one I bought was actually just to go camping. I don't want to read digital comic books when I'm camping. I like having a paper book. But man, does that age books in a hurry. And you get them in a very moist, humid environment like camping, and they're around campfire and stuff like that. It really doesn't take long before they're yellowed like crazy. Okay, I just want to see what this looks like. Yeah, so there's a little bit of funny here. Are you with me now? And that did curve. So what I might do here is I might do the same thing here again. Maybe here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on. Find those places that's... Okay, I think that's gonna work. Come on, I dare you. Well, that's ugly. Okay, something went off the rails here. Yeah, why do I have the wrong number of polygons here? What happened? $15. Yeah, shit. I won too many. Don't know how that happened. Come on and break my neck. That should be better. Since my security. That's not right at all. I have no idea what I've done. So we're just going to mirror this. You're only you. Let me try and maybe relax these and see if that works. It's a midlife. Okay, let's do this. I have, so oddly enough, of all things, the only statues I've ever made, I had one of my models 3D printed. George Brown, really early on in my teaching career, they bought a 3D printer, and they wanted to like entice students into printing their stuff, and so they asked me if I had anything I wanted to print to put on display, that they could, then show students what they could get done. And I had never done anything like that before, and so I didn't know what to do. And I had just finished, the new 52 had just come out, and while I wasn't a big fan of the book, I didn't really like the writing in it. I was really, really, really taken by the design and the artwork from Batwoman. And so I did Batwoman. I did a 3D model of her, and the school paid for my printing. And so the only catch was that I had to print two of them, one to stay on display at the school, and one that was for me. And so I printed two of them. The first one was like a $3,000 print in terms of the amount of material that I used, the amount of plastic that went into printing that thing. She was 3 full trays. I broke her into chunks, and it was 3 full trays for her to print. And I almost even broke the machine when I was printing her. In that I had to swap ink cartridges at one point, or plastic. It was plastic pellets in this one, and I had to swap them out, and I didn't stop the print when I opened up the thing. Let me see. I'll see if I can find her. Oh, I took pictures of her. But yeah. She ended up taking a couple of weeks to print, which was just mental. That it was like on the printer for that long. Let's see, 2013. My kids were just in diapers when I did it. And then it took me, God, it must have taken me a frickin' week to clean the print, to get the support material off of her. It was just absolutely covered in support material. And it was one of those things that I just ended up snapping along the way. And there was a lot of things about statue printing or figure printing that it was so new to me that I didn't know. Things like making sure your geometry is sound and that it doesn't break the printer, in terms of like just being logical. So for instance, if you take two pieces of geometry and you put them inside of each other, that can fry the printer, because it creates a Boolean in the printer's logic, at least in the printer that I used. And I did that in a couple of places, and it had no idea what to do with it, in terms of printing. There were also things like I tried to create a peg and socket joint for the feet, in order to make sure that I could stand her up. And I made a box. I made a cube. I did it on ZBrush, right? So I made a cube, and I put that on the base that she's standing on, and then I Booleaned that cube out of her foot so that I had a positive and a negative of the cube. And it was one of those things that it never occurred to me that if you make a positive and a negative of a cube, that they are identical and one won't go inside the other. And that was a problem. So the when I started putting her on, essentially I made a suspension out of the plastic. So when I put the peg inside of the hole, the air had nowhere to go. It was too close of a fit, and she actually like bounced. It was like an air suspension that she kind of floated on the components. And so that was a little bit funny. And then I had to shove her down to get her right down to where I wanted her. And when I shoved her, it snapped off one of her feet. You heard this ding, 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 ding as a foot shot across the room. It was a mess all over. And most of it was just because I'd never done it before. And there were things that I hadn't thought about the logic behind 3D printing. I just grabbed a model and printed it. I've got a photo of her somewhere here. I'm just going back through my photos looking for it. But yeah, that's my only experience with it. When I went to buy, none of that should be there. Oh. When I went to go get some of the material that I used for painting her and putting her together, I was at a hobby shop and there was a guy there who raced RC cars, and he asked me, what are you painting? What are you putting together? And I said, oh, I made a statue and I'm gonna paint it and put it on display at the school. He said, what do you mean you made a statue? I was like, oh, the school got a 3D printer, and I printed out, something that I sculpted. He was like, you have access to that? And as this dude is a raced RC cars, he was really excited, and wanted me to make him all kinds of components, all kinds of whatchamacallem, like little wings and fenders and like custom components for his RC car. I was like, I don't think you really understand how expensive this stuff is. Like, it would cost you a couple $100 for me to make you a spoiler. And so I was like, yeah, well, maybe not something that you is going to be in your best interest. Where the hell is these pictures? Let me check my email. What's up, Bray? I didn't see you come in, man. Oh yeah, man. There's stuff that can go wrong all over the place. Like I said, I almost fried the printer that I made. I almost fried the printer that I was using, and it was a $20,000 printer. It was a really expensive one from a ways back. Um, it was a mess everywhere. There she is. Let me download this photo. The other thing, so she doesn't have her cape here, which is another issue that I had. And that issue, no, not you, this, down here. The hell is happening? Yeah, there she is there. So she was as I mentioned, she was 3 rounds of printing. So she's at her belt line, she's split. And all of her upper body, her hair is separate. I printed it separate, and it's on a peg on her head. And the base was separate. It was printed with her legs, so her legs they ran along the length of this. And And yeah, there was a lot of things just went wrong with the print that there was just stuff that I didn't think of. Like, when I modeled her, so she wasn't modeled to be printed. I just happened to already have her modeled. And I was like, oh, let's print out this model I made. So the fins on her arm, the little bat hooks there that she's got, when I modeled those, I modeled them to be like razor sharp. And when I printed them, they printed razor sharp. And so when I was painting her, like she slit my hands open. It was like having razor blades on her forearms. And every time I handled her, every time I had her in my hands and I would move her around, those little fucking things would cut into my hands like crazy. And if you look at them, they're not even pointy anymore. And it's because a lot of the printer material snapped off. It was so thin. And so that was a problem. Like, it works great for a game character. You can make things that thin, but when you print, you couldn't. Also, with the printer that I was using, when you use the software to print, what it does is it looks at how big your model is, and it gives you a percentage of the tray. So it says, oh, your model is, X number of millimeters, and you can print at 77%. You can print at 77%, and that'll fill up the tray. And so because I broke her into 3 prints, her upper body, her lower body, and platform, and then the cape, the percentage was off. And so if you look at her waist, and she's really butch. Her upper body is actually a few percentages larger than the lower body. So her legs are actually too short. And if you look at her waist, it actually hangs out. She's like muffin topping. Her body is sticking out. And in fact, all of the pouches that are here, they were printed from another round of printing. Because the only way to make this fit was that I had to shave off, I sanded off the pouches that were there, put the upper body on the peg that was on her legs, and then drilled holes into the belt and printed new pouches that I just shoved into the holes. And so they kind of mask the fact that she doesn't fit from the front, but from the side you can totally see it. Her foot, again, completely broken off. Again, because she wasn't rigged or anything like that. I just used the Transpose Master inside of ZBrush to pose her. And again, she's like 20 pounds of plastic. And I put her feet on a fucking tightrope. And so the first thing that happened when she was standing up is she fell over and snapped her ankles. There was just too much weight on the top part of her compared to what's actually holding her up. And so I should have actually had her feet in a wider stance in order to support the weight of the model. But again, it was something I never even thought of. When I painted her, I got all different levels of gloss for the paint. So you can see there's kind of like a matte finish on the suit. I tried to make it look kind of like black rubber. And there's all kinds of like really cool things where like there's different reflective values of some of the blacks. And then the red for her gloves was super glossy, to make them look a little bit more like coated leather. And then I used that same gloss on just the whites of her eyes. So the mask looks like it's kind of like a rubber, but the eyes are super shiny. And so, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that went really, really well with it, but in the end, it was just a mess. And then her cape. So her cape was way too heavy. When I put it on her shoulder, it just snapped the cape in half. She has pegs on the back of her shoulders meant for the cape to snap into. And as soon as I put it on her, it broke off. And I was like, oh, man, she looks stupid without the cape. Like she's supposed to be one of the Bat family characters. She's got to have a freaking cape. So I went to Fabricland and I bought a couple of yards of black satin and red satin. And the red is actually almost identical to the color of red that's on her. And I was like, I'll make a fucking cape. And that was when I realized that I don't know how to make a fucking cape. And so I went to school, and one of my students, her sister, was actually doing fashion design. And she was more than happy to make a cape for me, which I thought was very nice of her. I was like, ask your sister. And she was like, yeah. Um, and so anyway, she did. She made a cape for me, and all I had to do was just make the measurements and send her a pattern. And I fucked up the measurements when I made the cape. Um, where did she go? Is she not open anymore? No, she's not open anymore. I don't know where she went. Anyway, um, there we go. So when I measured her cape, I was I was trying to measure the opening for her neck, and I wanted to make a circle that went around her neck for the cape, and that the cape would hang down from there. And so what I did was I took a piece of string and I measured from one shoulder, or from in between the shoulder and the neck, from like her collarbone to collarbone. I measured that distance. And for whatever reason, instead of that being the diameter of the circle, I took it to be the radius. And so the opening for the cape was wider than her shoulders were. But luckily, the girl that did the cape for me, she put wire in the cape so that I could pose the cape. And so the wire that was in the neckline, I just kind of pinched it up in behind her hair. And so yeah, from my first one, it's not terrible, but man, it definitely made me not want to ever fucking 3D print anything again. But yeah, I know there's a bunch of guys that do that for a living, right? They ZBrush shit, and they just ZBrush shit all day and get that stuff, modeled and printed and stuff. Which is really, really cool that you can, I mean, that's just the fact that you can do that is really awesome. ZBrush has a bunch of STL tools in it as well, which are meant for 3D printing. Um, and I didn't use any of them because I'm fucking stupid. Um, but yeah, they have a bunch of tools meant specifically for doing the print job, and they check for errors and stuff like that. Which is really, really useful. The school has offered for me again to print something else. And I haven't had the urge to print anything else, and I haven't had any ideas of what I would print. Like I wouldn't want to do the same thing that I did before with Batwoman, where I just took like the latest model that I made and print that. But I would want to make something specifically for printing. And that's what I don't know. I don't know what I would print. I don't know what I would model for printing. But yeah, there is money in that. Most of the ones that I've seen done really, really well, and you've probably seen these from the shop, right? Are ones that they use scan data for the models, and that's really awesome when you see that, because they look, especially if you're dealing with a movie-based character, right? They look just like the actors. And from what I understand, the people that do that stuff, as part of the licensing agreement to get those files, um, they get scan data from the movie production, which means it's 1-to-1 with what was in the film, which is really, really cool. Um, and so yeah, um, delete this guy. And so yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. I don't have anything else. I thought about getting into that for a little while. I thought it would be a super easy thing to just start doing. Um, but there's so much restrictions on I don't know why I imported that. There's so many restrictions on the licensing to this stuff that, like, my instinct would just be to make my own shit, right? And just sell that. But yeah, it doesn't work that way. It's sued out of existence by the people that own the rights to this stuff. But yeah, it is a good field to get into, especially with, I mean, You were doing Ben Riley Spider-Man and stuff like that. Oh, I saw the Brandon. I saw the your post on Instagram with Ben doing some breakdancing and stuff like that. Was that the stuff that I showed you? Was that Mixamo? Cool. Work out well. Yeah, as long as you can, when you import your character, as long as you can get like the wrists and the everything in the right position, it doesn't do too bad of a job. At least for showing off your character. But you do want to watch out that you don't get anything wonky, right? Especially if you're using that as part of your demo reel or whatnot, and you show off that character, you want to make sure that the rig isn't destroying it or anything. Um, that is a good option, but remember that your best option is always to have a rigger. Always have someone. I don't know if Yash is here. Yash, are you here? Are you one of the people watching, Yash? Yash is a rigger, and he's actually he rigged one of my Overwatch characters that I made for my class, and he just graduated from Sheridan. Yeah, and you know what? Doing Spider-Man is one of the hardest fucking things because of what that dude can do, right? Like the maneuverability, the dexterity that he's got in his movements. Like you need a really high-end rig to get that to move the right way. And that's really, really, really tough to do. Okay. So my goal here is to I'm making the fishbowl. And I'm not gonna have transparency because I'm in substance and they don't really do transparency here. And so the idea is going to be to try and get just a base color looking correct and to see what I can do with that. I'm getting some weird artifacting here, which I believe is from the thickness map. I'm going to have to test that out. It would be. Um, Several years ago, I did, it was International Women's Day, and I had a class, I think it was at Seneca at the time. I was teaching at Seneca, and this class that I had was not an instructional class. It was a just a work period. And so I thought what I would do is I would demo for the students, like, let me see if I can make a character. We've got 6 hours. Let me see how hard I can go on this. And I ended up going for Spider Gwen when I did that because that'll be fun. I'll see what I can do in Unreal in terms of like web swinging and stuff. And I got her built and modeled and textured and stuff like that. But but man, getting that rig to move the right way, getting the motion to look natural and everything, it was just so tough. So where the hell's that coming from? It's not that one. Oh, why is there a seam there? So something funky's going on here. Let me go through my bakes. Ah, the culprit, curvature. Okay. That looks like there aren't actually any smoothing groups. So I'm going to have to do a bake from high poly. High poly with this is easy. I'm just going to put a turbo smooth on and call it high poly. Export selected. Back to my OBJ folder. OBJ this shit. What is this? Fish bowl. Yeah, it's pretty big here too, Christian. There's a lot of industry for that. And I mean, Brandon can speak to this too about the amount of figures that they sell at comic book shops, which is just mental. Let me show you a really cool one. This is Transformers Starscream. And this is a statue that was built, and this guy's fucking mental how beautiful this thing is. All ZBrushed, and like the level of detail on this, even the paint job is just killer. It's huge too. But yeah, there's a really big Frederick Dau. There's a really big market for this stuff. There's Starscream there, and you can see he's got the cape on, which is just awesome. But yeah, when you see, like, look at this dude up close, man. That's all 3D printed, eh? You can actually see some of the little artifacting that shows up on it. But like, it's just an incredibly beautiful amount of work. And I think one of the things that I love about this too is that, like, it's so obviously Starscream, like it's so Gen 1 Starscream that it's incredibly well done. All the little intricate paneling and everything on this, just gorgeous. And so yeah, this was for, I don't know who he works for. I think this is Prime One. No, XM Studios. And so yeah, he does. Frederick Dau does a bunch of this stuff, which is really useful. A lot of this stuff is really cool. Anyway, let me go and bake this again. I should have done that after baking. Bum 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 bum. The hell am I making? Fishbowl. I wish it was cool in me. Let me try this again. See if I get better results here. Since I thought you and me. The thing with XM is, one, all of these statue and figure printing places, is that there's so much demand for that stuff that they really just take the highest quality sculptors to do that work. And in the cases of doing game type figures, oh, weird. It must have brought some of that value over. That's interesting. Let me see what this looks like now. In the case of stuff like game characters, what you're going to find is that a lot of times they actually just pull the character artist from whatever studio and get their artwork to the printer to make stuff like that. And I can give you a real world example of this. I've been asked with our game coming out, Scully. I've been asked to submit some of the character work because the publisher wants to make some 3D prints and figurines and statues and stuff of some of the characters. And so I had to send my models away so that so somebody can put that together. Okay. I'm trying to get something here that's going to look the way I want it to look. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Let's get rid of this. We got about a month left until it drops. Its release date is August 4th. And so, yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that. I know my kids beta tested the game, right? They played it, and I was working on it here at home. I've got a PlayStation dev kit a couple of feet away from me. And so the kids would actually come in while I was working on the game, sitting on my computer. The kids would come in and play on the TV, and they would play the game. So they played it a bunch. They know what it's all about. But their friends have actually, like, when I posted the trailer, my wife reposted it on Facebooks, and a bunch of, like, my kids' friends' parents kind of picked up on it, and they were like, "Oh, like, it's a game," and it's kind of like, well, what the fuck you think I do? But yeah, and so a bunch of them are interested in the game, and the kids want to play the game with their friends, which is kind of funny. This is the first time the kids are actually interested in something that I've done. They just weren't old enough before. When I worked on Maze, the kids were just babies when I did that, and so there was no gaming, there was no interest in it, and now that's kind of changed a little bit. And now they have a lot of interest in what it is that I'm doing, which is really kind of fun to see. But yeah, there was a whatchamacallit, reviews or previews are starting to come out now. There was a whatchamacallit, a moratorium on them. Not a moratorium. The fuck's that word? Anyway, they had a block on reviews that you weren't allowed to review the game or preview the game. But that's gone away. And now they can post that stuff. And so it'll be interesting to start hearing what people think of this thing. That's been, it's been a part of my life for a couple of years now. And so to have other people play it and see what they think is going to be interesting. I mean, you've done this. You've been down this road before, Ian. I'm just grabbing a smart material. Embargo. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yes, there was a preview embargo. Where you weren't allowed to preview the game or to release your preview of the game. But the embargo lifted earlier in the week, and we've been starting to see some of them. I'm trying to stay away from them. I don't want to read them. But yeah, that stuff's starting to hit the airwaves now, which is kind of nice. It won't be long before people can play the game and see what they think of it. Where the hell did you go? What the fuck is this? It's a very shitty looking material. Just like the height map is blown way out of proportion on this thing. There's all kinds of like little loops in this. That is not a good looking material. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, fuck it. I'm going alone. Screw you, Smart Materials. You hung me out to dry again. Okay, let me see what I can do with this. I'm going to set this to gray. So I think the idea is to get this as brand new as possible. Before starting to muck it up. Let's add a fill to this. Generator in the rough. I'm not really sure how I'm going to go about doing this. I don't think I have the brain power to do this right now. I am losing speed. It means I didn't do any totems. It means I got my sync done, and that's about it. Which is not good. Okay, let's see. I'll do another 10 or 15 minutes here. That way I'll do some more of the dirt patches and see what I can get done with that. So I've got these little cards here that have stacks of dirt on them and stuff, which are pretty useful for going around the world. And I've got a couple that are corner specific, which is nice. I've got one over here, which is a this guy, which is a negative corner. And so I'm going to duplicate him and move him across the world here. And we'll go put him on this corner. Try and get it to the point that it's in the right place. Deselect it. And it adds this layer of kind of clutter and mess to the world, which is really nice when you actually see it. And so I'm kind of doing a few places here. I'm just going through the negative areas here where the corner exists. Try and place this stuff as accurately as I can. Move this one in a little bit. Maybe about there. Pull back up. And again, you just kind of get this little bit of gunge and grossness kind of floating around the area. I'll put another one of these over here. I'll rotate this 90. And again, just kind of bury it in the wall a little bit. And I'll deselect it. And again, you just kind of get a little bit of crap on the floor. And I've kind of put these in a few kind of strategic places. I've got this one that's kind of this round patch. And I've put a couple of those kind of under the stairs. I've got a straight wall version of this. Let's bring a copy of this over here. And the idea with this one is that you put it along the length of a wall that is straight. If I go rotate this way, 90, and go and put it up against the wall here, like that. Again, it'll give me a little bit more crap and stuff. It's really dark in this side of the room, but it still gets picked up by the light a little bit. You can kind of see that there's a little bit more going on than just a plain wall. And then I use these things here too underneath my shelves because they look good with that. So for instance, if I take this one and I put it under the shelf here, deselect it, you kind of get a little bit more crap kind of sticking out from the shelf. I'll pull it out this way a little bit. I'll scale it down a little bit. And then typically what I'll do is make a copy that I'll rotate 180 and use this to kind of cover the back of where the shelf is. I can deselect here. And you get a little bit of flickering here where they're in the same place. So in that instance, what I do is just try and move it a little bit, either up or down, so that the flickering goes away. And then you just get this, like, it's almost like ambient occlusion level dirt where the stuff just kind of starts to collect in places. And in some of them, the normal maps looks really, really strong. Like this, like there's really, really strong normal map on this piece, but then everything else looks really, really flat on this one. I'm not really sure why that's the case. This one, you can see the normal map is really doing a good job, and you get this real sense of depth in that stuff. But yeah, if I grab these two bits here, we'll go and make another copy over here. Spin them this way, scale them up. Not too big, otherwise the dirt doesn't make a lot of sense. And again, I'll just try and put them underneath this stuff, almost like it's the reason that the room, that the furnishings is the reason the room collects all this dirt. That one got really close to the corner piece. That should be okay. And so yeah, it just looks like a little, like a layer of garbage on the ground that I think really helps to sell the dirty nature of the room. Again, you know, put another one over here under this guy. That. Put this one back here. That's not too bad. It's starting to feel like there's just more clutter, more mess. And so as you kind of fill in some of these areas around here, it ends up looking pretty decent. These are just from the Megascans library, and so they do a pretty good job of adding that kind of level of clutter. Especially when I get them like near the candles and stuff, and the candles start lighting them up a little bit. Looks pretty decent. And then maybe I'll go in. Let's see. I've got transparent. Ian, are you still here? I figure what the shortcut is for this. Somewhere. Shoot, I don't remember where it is. Somewhere there is a transparency selection option. And I don't remember where it is. But I currently can't select anything with transparency on it. And I don't remember the shortcut key to turn that off and on. Yeah, I don't see it. We'll go look that up. UE4 transparent selection. What the hell is that shortcut again? Under the settings. That's where it is. T. Oh, I was going to guess T. I'd have guessed it right. So I'm just going to go and build a few more spider webs, cobwebs in the in and around these guys here. Try and keep some of the look of what I've got with the couch area kind of continuing along. Alt, spin another copy of this over here. Let's go to my meshes. And this is cobwebs A, so I'm going to put B on this one. The idea is to just kind of fill this stuff in. And the more of this stuff that I can get in here, the more it's going to help with the look. Where are you? There we go. Let's see if I can't scale this thing up. Get it to touch the ground. You got it, Brennan. I'm not going to be here too much longer myself. I'm running out of steam, man. I got very little left in the tank. It's starting to make it feel a little bit older. Let me put a couple more on this side here too. It's starting to feel a little better. But yeah, the more of this type of stuff I can get in here, you know, the more it's going to start feeling more cohesive, the more it's going to start feeling like it actually is all attached, all connected, and all part of the same world. And so I may actually make a blueprint of my cobwebs where I combine a couple of them together, which will make it easier to go and place them into some of these areas, which will be super important, I think, to getting them set up the way that I want. I'll put this one right back here, scale it way up. Angle it away from the candle a little bit. And put another one there too. What is that? Cobweb A? Cobweb B. Yeah, good. Pull this out a little bit more. Come on. Yeah, it's not too bad. The more of this stuff I can get in, the better it's going to look. It's not too bad. And that's kind of the goal, is to just get a ton of this stuff up. Again, I made these things really low poly, so I could put a ton of them in and just fill up as much of the room as I can with it so that they all kind of catch the light and you see this kind of just really old looking kind of thing. All right. I'm done for the evening. That is about as far as my brain's going to let me go, at least tonight. And so have yourselves a good weekend. I'll be back here on Monday night again, hitting this as hard as I can to try and get as much of these pieces done. I'll probably get a few pieces modeled in the weekend when I get a chance here or there, but probably won't be live streaming any of that. I just want to get some stuff done. I find I get sometimes I get a little distracted with the live stream and don't end up nearly getting as much work done as I'd like to, and so we'll see what we can do about getting some other assets done and kind of filling them in. I'm going to go through some of my older projects and see what I can't pull out from other things that I've worked on in the past that I can just throw in this map as crud to fill it up. I know I've got a few things that would fill the room nicely, and so, or at least add to the clutter in the room, and so, yeah, this is starting to be my my favorite corner here in terms of how the lighting is set up, and it just looks really nice.